put her in another one, and when you make sure you keep my things, I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay.
What's the priority? Is your priority shopping or?
No.
Yes. And that's really what we have to get down to, because it requires more time and attention if you want to empower your child. And by making them a partner with you, you empower them. But by telling them what you're going to do, they remain in you taking responsibility for them. And our goal is for them to take responsibility for their own behavior.
Okay, I don't want to take up your whole show, but I have a follow-up question.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so let's say everything goes well today. So the timer goes off and we're out of the time. Now I have like three, my husband that has to go home. So I will not be able to take her at some point right away. So I should also lay that out in advance and say, we have to go home and drop off the groceries. And as soon as we've done that, we're going to go to the playground. Is that kind of an idea what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yep, you want to give them as much information as you can to have them make good decisions. What happens when we ask kids to make decisions when they're young? They make good decisions and they make poor decisions, and they start seeing who they are in the world without it being who you or I want them to be. So if you give them more information, then it might be, it's going to take me 15 minutes to unload groceries. Will you help me do this part of it, or would you like to help me put this part of it away? And again, we don't want good behavior rewarded with food or necessarily that every time Sarah behaves, she gets to go do something she wants. But this is something you want. So what you're doing is you're asking her to do it for you, and it would probably, it may not, I don't find that usually it takes a reward, to be perfectly honest. If you tell your daughter, this is hard for you and it upsets you, and you would like this, the minute you start giving them responsibility for a timer and reminding you 5 minutes ahead of time, Mommy, we're going to be out of here in 5 minutes, they have a role in your life and in this plan, which usually doesn't happen in the typical conversations that parents have. Does that help you at all?
It does. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I can't wait to give you this time.
Well, thank you for calling in. And as I said today, and we hope we'll talk to you again, Carol. This is the bye-bye. This is the A to Z show. You can call in and ask questions about anything. It can be from parenting to a problem you have. For instance, we have a person who is having a problem with a medical procedure that was done in the 1970s and wants to know how she should go about filing a lawsuit for, it's called a transvaginal mesh that was used. And so we gave her some advice. And of course, we are not attorneys and do not know the law, but we certainly advocate for people in terms of becoming more empowered in their life. Now, we were talking about text before we got the live call. People sent a text, and it was about what to do when his 4-year-old wants to throw things. So one of the things you always want to remember when you're empowering kids is whatever they love to do is the passion that you want to use to motivate them to keep their love of learning alive, because that is the most important thing that you can do for your child, is give them the responsibility for keeping their love of learning alive. So, Cliff's issue was his son threw things, and sometimes he hit people, sometimes he threw things that shouldn't be thrown. So Cliff tried to stop the full procedure of throwing, and what I recommend is that we get a box, and we ask the child to put things in the box that are acceptable for throwing. And first the child gets to pick. And then Cliff gets to agree if these type of objects are acceptable for throwing. And so then Cliff also have to define, okay, what does anywhere mean? Can we put someone with it? So yes, we don't want the child putting anybody with something that would kill them. So it would have to be something that if it would hurt, if it hit someone, it wouldn't hurt. Can it go through a glass window? No. So we don't want that happening. So it would be those parameters, and then we'd say, okay, Jenny, what do you think we could put in this box? So maybe all the facts, all the facts go in that box. All the soft clothes he has go in that box. All the soft stuffed animals go in that box. And that becomes a box that's acceptable for Florida, because Johnny may want to be a teacher when he grows up, and you certainly don't want to disturb that. And of course, it's great hand-eye coordination for the child, and we want to encourage that also. So, in this manner, we are helping the brain connect with solutions and compromises that people need to make every day of their life, except that in empowered parenting and GPS for kids, we start doing that from the moment a child is born. Okay, so I just got another email here from a woman who had, I guess she had a baby 2 months ago, and she's asking what the philosophy is on newborns for empowered parenting. And I'm so glad you asked that, because I'm happy to say that we have moved our program into the newborn era, and here's what we recommend. From the time the baby comes into this world, and even when they're in the womb, their neuron connections are being developed in your brain. And as part of this happens, one of the things that we want to do when babies are first born is start encouraging them to listen to their internal system, or their own GPS, we call it, their guided path to success. So how do you turn on a child's GPS? You ask them to listen to their own body and listen to their own internal messages, their own map of what the world is and how they fit into it. And by doing that, we're empowering kids to start taking responsibility for who they are in the world and gaining confidence from the inside out, which I think that no one can ever take away from them. So, in the case of a baby, there's three major things that we recommend. Number one, you start finding the words that you would use most often with a young baby, like it would be, are you hungry? And you find the word hunger, or hungry, and put on the refrigerator the sign and the word, so that you can think on it also. And every time you're going to feed the baby, you're going to sign hungry. Are you hungry? And the second thing that we do is called elimination training. And elimination training, I find this one so funny, because for all these years, I mean, human brain is the most loaded potential of anything that exists in the world, and yet we train our puppies to listen and monitor their own behaviors by taking them outside when they're timid, away from their mother, and take responsibility for their own internal systems, and yet babies we wrap up in diapers and tell them to ignore it, and ignore these feelings. So what we recommend is elimination training, and babies are usually going to go to the bathroom after they can speak or after they get a bottle. So every time that happens, we use a sound. One of the most common sounds is kind of a sound. And you can hold the baby over a sink, or over the phone, or over a little human baby potty, whatever's comfortable for you, and make that sound, and the baby gets conditioned that when she or he hears that sound, is going to poop. And then the other sound is, and that's for poop. And so, believe it or not, babies that have done this from day one, number one, you don't have to have diapers on all the time. Number two, when they have a need that when they get to be 4 months old, they will let you know where they can at that point with whining or some type of noise that says, I need the bathroom or I need something. And they are now in charge of their body and taking care of it, and they're so empowered. So those two things, the third thing is that there are all types of signs that have been identified by a woman who has incredible healing ability. And so listening, going to her webpage, which I'll let you know what that is in a moment, you can learn what those cries mean. And there's like 3 to 5 cries for babies, and you know, I think it's 4 actually, what your baby is asking. It's called the dumbsting method. And you will know when it is they're hurt, when they're hungry, when they're tired. There's all these things. Once again, we're creating better communication as well as getting kids to take responsibility for who they are in the world. The other important thing that goes with this is to remember to give kids choices. Choices are the most empowering thing that we can do when our kids are little. And when you take your infant who might be 5 months and ready to eat to the grocery store, you take what food you get. So you have a different, if we were in an organic store, and they had baby food in these new pouches, which are great, with kind of a built-in straw that a baby can suck on, and gave Shanti, my daughter Wendy's baby, a choice, and she knew exactly which one she wanted. And we took it home and she gobbled it down. And then when I bought something to show me around, she wasn't interested in it. So the human brain is so far beyond what we give it credit for that involving a child in all the different aspects that we may think don't matter, we are erring on the right side when we believe that they all matter. All right, well, thank you for your question. That was great. I'm going to follow up on this on the parenting part and remind you that any type of trauma, which is any negative emotion, that creates a reaction in your body is the buildup with the start of stress. So the sooner we can diminish that stress and get that traumatic event desensitized, the better we are for helping your child be able to keep their love of learning alive. Learning about the brain and the research and the technology, the brain does not function well under stress. The brain's job is to keep us alive, not to make us popular, not to make us smart. So everything that traumatize us shut the brain down to learning because its first primary goal is going to be protection. And if we're not happy, and we're angry, or we're disturbed by something, or we have low self-esteem, it's very hard to motivate that brain because that brain is not interested in being a part of what's going on. And so if you invest in your self-motivation, and unless we have another question on parenting, we're going to end that talk. So we talked a little bit about corruption and the investigation that went on. We had a few write-ins and calls on parenting. And let's see how much time we have left here. We've got a few minutes left for the show here. But I want to thank you for being with us on day one of Tuesday to Z. And we will be back on every day. And we will let you know the time the day before. And actually we'll start doing podcasts that will be available. And we hope to see you then, and you can call us